Hi, everybody. I'm Gwendolyn Stirk from Stirk Family Law, and I have the privilege to be with Margot McDermott here today. She is the House Representative for the 37th District, where our office is located. Welcome, Margot.
Thanks, Gwen.
Today we're going to talk about orders of protection and the evolution of things that are implemented in the year 2019, because there have been some significant changes this year. And the first one, and we're hearing a lot of news about it, called this Lethal Order of Protection. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, this is in response to concerns with gun violence. And the legislature wanted to balance concerns about people using guns in a lethal way with our constitutional rights under the Second Amendment. And this is where this bill came from.
Okay. And it became a bipartisan effort, is that correct?
It was negotiated by people who are concerned about gun violence in conjunction with people for whom the Second Amendment is really important.
Sure. And so there seemed to be some kind of level here where we have a compromise, and it's also referred to as the Firearm Restraining Order. So basically, I think that it allows both a family member or law enforcement to take certain steps, correct?
That's right. If they feel that a gun owner is capable of violence in the near term, they can go and file a complaint and ask that those guns be removed. But they have a burden of proof, clear and convincing, before it can be removed. And the owner can say why the guns shouldn't be removed.
Now they can get an emergency order, and then there's an opportunity to be heard with notice. And so I know that the level of proof is they have to show that there's a significant danger of causing injury, right?
That's right.
Now, it's not just injury, though, to the other side, like a traditional order of protection. So in a traditional order of protection, it wouldn't be me harming myself, it would be me harming you.
Right, but this could also include self-harm.
That's correct, and so that's interesting because it kind of addresses the issue of suicide as well.
Well, we have to be aware of that. As legislators, that's something that we do see guns being used for.
Absolutely.
So if someone is fearing for the safety of a family member, now they have a good tool to use.
Absolutely, so it's a tool for the person who's engaged or has possession of the gun, as well as for the protection of the family, where traditionally they may have been able to go out and get a order of protection under the Illinois Domestic Violence Act.
That's right.
So it really expands that further. Now, these terms are 6 months, correct? It's a shorter term.
That's right.
And so the law enforcement, why was it important to have law enforcement be able to do this as well? Because that was a real change. Yeah.
Well, law enforcement is often in a position to know that something is ready to explode at this home. And for them to be able to be proactive and not necessarily wait for family members who may not be willing or able to do it themselves, I think is an important advancement to safety in our communities.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that I'm seeing some of the trend, and certainly the bills that you've been voting for, is that we're taking proactive steps now. Instead of kind of sitting behind the 8 ball and waiting for something to happen, we're taking some protective measures. Would you agree?
Yes, we need to worry about the safety of our citizens.
That's correct. So that's the lethal order protection. The other thing that I think is important with regard to order protections in 2019 is, traditionally it had to be a family member, you had to have some kind of relationship in order to get that order protection under the Domestic Violence Act. And so there were very specific terms of who could or could not get it, right? And so last year, or effective this year, we now allow the foster parent of a child to be able to seek it, a legally appointed guardian of a child or custodian, an adoptive parent, or a prospective adoptive parent. I think that's an interesting expansion.
Well, and I think that this is in response to things that we're seeing, because often children who are in the system are in need of protection, and it may be a parent that they need to be protected from, or perhaps their parents are not available.
Right. Or a foster parent. They're in a short-term situation and there really wasn't a remedy, So it's interesting because that act was so specific in terms of where it applied. So this expanded definition, I think, is really adopting what's happening in society. You're right. And the new family structures. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's why we did it.
Yeah. And so in addition to that, we still have, just so everybody's aware, the traditional remedies that are available under the Illinois Domestic Violence Act for the order of protection that can be good up to 2 years. There's certain requirements for that. I think we've covered that in the past. And in addition to that, now we also have the stalking laws. You can go in and get a no contact order and have some other protections. So I think we're putting in place the things now we need to get people educated, because they need to use them, right?
That's why we're here today.
That's right. So if you're listening today and you have a family member and you feel paralyzed and you don't know what to do, understand that there are remedies. You can help your individuals in your own family and your loved ones by taking some action. You also can call law enforcement. And in addition to these bills, I know, for example, in Orland Park in our own community, we have the crisis intervention team, which is available to help with the mental health issues, trying to take the approach of de-escalating the situation. So there is a lot of remedies. People just need to be aware of it. So I appreciate that you are helping with this.
Always.
So much. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Gwen.